How's it going, guys? My name is FakeThriller. Today I'm joined by Snoov603, and welcome to the first episode of the GameSpeak 2.0. It is a little bit of a revised version of the podcast we used to do. It's just me and Snoov, and it's going to be a condensed format. We're going to take one or two topics, get through them inside of 10 or 20 minutes. So this week, the biggest news in the gaming industry is all about the new Xbox One that was announced on Tuesday, and we're going to hit a few different topics about it, but the first thing I want to do is we're going to go straight for the name, Xbox One. Snoov, when you heard that, did you have any immediate thoughts about it, or...
I was kind of disappointed because, everyone had been speculating on this for not even just weeks, but months now, ever since they kind of started hinting that there would be an announcement and rumors started picking up speed. And the name that was thrown out there that most people accepted as the most likely name was the Xbox Infinity, which sounds pretty awesome. And we got literally the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Instead of Infinity, it's One. So that was the only thing that really came to mind. But I guess it is kind of like a kind of name. Xbox One. Like, there's nothing flashy about that. At least Xbox Infinity would sound kind of cool. But Xbox One is just like
you know what it screams to me? It screams Nintendo Wii, because the Xbox One, based on some of the things we'll talk about coming up, but some of the things you guys might have heard, it's supposed to be like an all-in-one unit. So it's like, they're going for this dual meaning, single syllable type name, and that's how it was with the Wii, where the two... First of all, the name Wii was like as in me and you, and then the two eyes was actually supposed to represent two human figures, meaning let's play together kind of a thing. So it's like, this is like in-depth marketing psychoanalysis and stuff like that, but it makes sense. But yeah, to be perfectly honest, I don't like it, and I'm sure if you haven't already had this issue, you'll have it now that I'm mentioning it. Is good luck talking about the original Xbox. Between the Xbox 360 and now Xbox One, you have to be very specific. Like, you have to say original Xbox or something like that, because I know I used to call the original Xbox, the first Xbox, like, or you just say Xbox One because PS2, PS1.
Right.
I don't know. It gets confusing now.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I understand. I agree with you. I understand where they're going with this whole Xbox One. It's one console, one device, one media source. So I understand they're playing on words, but I mean, you could also argue that Xbox Infinity was better, because you could say there's infinite possibilities for what this thing could do. I feel like they dropped the ball in this one. It could have been way better than Xbox One.
I mean, they could have gone with like the current gaming trend and just done a reboot, and they could have just called it the Xbox,
That's true.
And they would have screwed with people just as much as they did by calling it the Xbox One. But it's a good name. It's quick. It's not hard to say. Like, saying PlayStation 4 is kind of a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. That's a lot of syllables.
Only a dummy says PlayStation 4. You just say PS4. Like, it doesn't get any easier. I would say the Wii is the easiest, because that is just one friggin' syllable.
Yeah.
PS4 that's the second easiest one to say.
All right. Well, regardless of the name, it's clearly here to stay for the next decade and beyond. So we'll move on to the next topic, and I sort of want to get into what Microsoft is shooting for with the Xbox One, and we kind of just gave you a preview to that, and it's going to be this all-in-one unit. And I want to know how everybody feels about that, because personally, as a gamer, and I like to think I'm one of their key demographics, male, 20s, grew up the video game generation. I want my video game system to be a video game system. I don't need it to, wash my dishes for me and stuff like that.
I can see where they're going with this, and I actually agree with what they're doing, and it totally makes sense. You want to hear why? I'm going to tell you why. I'm not giving you an option, even though I asked you. So you're right. We are right in, if you think about it, we are in the middle of that target demographic. And to be honest, we could be a little bit on the outside edge, maybe not dead center, maybe a little bit towards the older crowd. But our parents' generation, maybe minus a couple of years. People in their mid to late 40s at this point. They all grew up with like the first consoles that came out. They were the first gaming generation. All these people in like their late 40s, early 50s. And at this point, they've all got kids that are in their teens or maybe a little bit older. And now you've got us, which are, well, fuck it, it's close enough. We're going to say that we're right in the middle of this generation of gamers. We bridge the gap between the oldest that have been doing this since day one when the consoles first came out, and the youngest, whoever the youngest players are out there right now. And since we're in the middle, we have our own families that we're starting now. So a lot of us haven't dropped the gaming whatsoever. So how do we make it so that we can continue to game, but now it's family friendly? Xbox One. It encompasses everything. So not only can you do your gaming with it, but now you can also get the family involved. It's not just gaming, you know. You can use the one thing. You go from playing a game to watching a movie to, you know, checking out anything, like, you know, do all your social media stuff. It's just all inclusive. And that's what they want. They're trying, I feel like that's what their goal is. They're trying to appeal to absolutely everyone. Not just the core gamers like us, and not just the social media savvy people like our parents that are just on the outside of being gamers. They're trying to encompass everything into one thing. That's how I view it. It really makes sense when you think about it from that aspect.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's literally transforming the capabilities of a PC, meaning like the versatility of what you can do, into a living room suitable, like sort of compatible device that everybody can hop on and do stuff. And obviously, if you're going to look at it and say, how, like, if we can somehow convince, like, Ma and Pa to buy an Xbox, and we can get 12-year-old Susie to ask their parents for an Xbox, people that wouldn't normally fit into that gamer demographic that I was describing, then obviously that's a good way to increase your sales. And
right,
I guess it's a good business model, but like, speaking as a gamer, I don't know. It bugs me. There's so much bloatware already on the Xbox 360. There's so much crap drowning out, you know, my game machine, that it's kind of irritating. I understand that it's going to be a fantastically powerful and probably convenient device, but I don't know how I feel like about video game systems becoming, you know, super VCRs and everything.
Right. They've gone from gaming console to entertainment system. And well, I guess you could technically say that that's the exact same thing, but it's not.
No,
because when you think gaming console, that's it. It is strictly gaming. And then there's entertainment system, which is capable of doing a plethora of things.
Well, in the way that they, from the demonstrations I saw, the way they have this thing rigged up to your living room, it is going to dominate your living room. Like, you don't have to change inputs on your TV anymore. I don't even know how they do that, but that's kind of crazy. That you can go, like, you're going to be with Xbox on the tip of your tongue for everything.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a smart move. And I guess, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to trash this thing, because it's something that would be right up my alley normally. It feels like the kind of thing that I'd be convincing everybody else that I know to try and get on board with. And I would be like that, you know, spear point techie that has it first.
Right, but now let's play now that I've taken the time to defend it, you know, let's kind of go back to what you were saying at first. You know, keep in mind, so what you just said and everything I'd said in defense of it is because of given our current situation. You know, we're both starting our families. You've got your, oh man, is she 3 now, your daughter?
2.
Okay, I was like 2. No, she's 3. She's 2. Man, I got too many little nieces that are right around the same age. So you've got your family started. I've got my family started. So we see the added benefit to this. So I can see, okay, this is cool, but let's back up a couple of years to people that are strictly just gamers, and that's all they want to do. And I can see how this thing is very lackluster. Gaming-wise, not that much is changing. Like, yeah, you can probably get some better graphics and higher frames per second and stuff, but there isn't that crazy jump like we had talked about before from like PS1 to PS2. You're like, holy fuck, that is a jump in just capabilities. And then again, from PS2 to PS3. We're not going to see that with, you know, or sorry, even just talking Xbox to Xbox 360 to 360 to the One. You're not going to see that crazy jump. Now they're trying to dive into other things. And as a pure gamer standpoint, it's kind of bullshit. It's like, I've been waiting this long for the next gen console for like a bunch of bloated shit that I just absolutely have no use for.
Well, let's the one thing I was thinking about, let's rewind back to let's go back like a couple generations now. So you're 14 and your family gets an Xbox. You don't get it for your birthday, but your family gets an Xbox. That's no longer your dedicated gaming machine. You know,
that's true.
If that's going in your living room, then your dad's going to come home and say, boot up the NASCAR stream because I want to use your Xbox to stream NASCAR, or, you know, listen to music or something like that. like it's a Blu-ray player, so now people are going to be using your gaming rig to do everything else that it's capable of doing. I guess, yeah, I mean, it's a give take. It could work both ways. And
you know what's sad? As you made that point, because you're absolutely right. I have a feeling that that's going to happen in a lot of cases. While you made that point, I just heard the collective drop of about, we'll say 5 million 15 and under teenagers out there with the sudden clarity Clarence face going, holy shit, he's right. Realizing that their console that it was always, this is my console, I'm going to my room to play games. Nah, not going to happen with this. And okay, obviously probably not all cases, but I can actually see that being a very, very feasible situation in far too many houses out there. Now, that's really a bad thing. I mean, it means more family time. But from the 15 and under perspective, and I say 15 and under because generally 16 and older, you're much more likely to have your own job where you can start buying these things. 15 and under, it's not that easy or that common.
Yeah.
So I can feel the anger from here.
It's going to be one of these things. I was tweeting back and forth with Nick Gigante a few days ago talking about this release and how everybody is just going batshit crazy trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And it's because video games are a very unique medium in the sense that they've never been able to repeat a cycle. They were able to repeat a cycle and when I say cycle, I mean from generation to generation. It's hardly ever repeated itself. You had a lot of similarities going from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64. That generation sort of repeated itself when you went from Nintendo 64 to GameCube, because it was just a progressive upgrade with graphics and capabilities and stuff like that. There was no huge innovation in technology. But since the internet came out, since that generation of the GameCube upgraded to the Wii, there's so many different technological innovations that are going on that you have no idea like what the next like play is going to be. You know, like who would have thought the 360 was going to beat the PS3 for that generation? Like nobody knew that was going to happen. So nobody knows what this is going to do. Like nobody knows where it's going to go, and it's going to take 10 years before any of us really figure it out. But our time is ticking by really fast, so I want to move on to the next topic. And it's a big one for the gamers, and that is used games. They've announced that used games will be playable on the Xbox One. However, there is a fee attached to playing a pre-owned game.
And right now, we do not know what that fee is, but think it's going to be something similar to what EA just dropped. And for those of you that don't know about it or just forgot, what EA had done was any game that was backed by EA, if you bought it used, or it came with a code. So when you cracked it open for the first time, you pulled off all that annoying ass cellophane, and you open it up, there's a code in there that when you booted up the game and downloaded it for the first time, got it loaded up, you had to enter a code to authenticate it. And it was a one-time use code. So if you went to GameStop and bought that game like a month later for, say, $58.50, because GameStop's like that, and that's even if they have like 1,000 copies of that one game on the shelf. They have no idea what supply and demand means. At any rate, if you go and pick that up, you would have to pay, I believe it was $10 to get another code to authenticate it. And they actually just very, very recently, within the past week and a half, I believe, discontinued that business practice, as it were. And now, so, it was one thing to have a huge game publisher like EA do it, but now the freaking console maker, Microsoft, has stepped in and is saying, no, like that Geico commercial with Matimba, whatever, comes and swats that shit out. He says, no.
This is going to be something, there's got to be some behind the scenes going on here, because you used to pay the publishers that $10, but now you're paying...
I have a feeling you're right. There's going to be something going on behind the scenes, and it's going to be a percentage split where Microsoft is saying, I guarantee you they went behind closed doors and talked to all these developers and said, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and charge them for any used game because we all agree this is bad for us in the long run. So, well, bad for our profits, I should say. We're going to take a percentage. So say it ends up just being $10. We'll keep 2 and we'll give you the other 8 to each respective developer. If it's, say, only 1,000 people buy a secondhand game and it's everyone's made by Ubisoft's going to get it. It's not like they're going to spread it out to everyone evenly. And then Microsoft will take their little bit of chunk of change off the top as a way of saying, well, we're doing the dirty work for you, so we're going to take a percentage for our efforts.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess it's a business, people are trying to keep up with, getting their share and everything. But it does kind of suck because it's going to be really weird to see how this works out with borrowing games from friends. And like, I actually wouldn't be too opposed to this if you could somehow, like, within the system of Xbox Live, let them know that I'm going over to Snoo's house and I'm bringing my copy of Madden and we're going to play it on his Xbox, so we don't have to.
Right. See,
pay
that
or
would
something
make
like that.
total sense. But because some people still do that, people still get out of their house every once in a while and go hang out with their friends. So that would suck. I mean, does that mean you just have to bring your console along,
Well,
like unhook all the wires and rehook them back up at your friend's house?
Yeah, what about like when you rent a game anyway? I mean, I know it's not that common anymore, but Redbox still offers games. I don't
Right.
know. I would think there's got to be some provision for that. Maybe you get a decent amount of like time. Maybe you get a week of gameplay or something like that before it'll lock you out. I don't know.
They're going to have to, either that or they're going to have to make companies, say like Redbox or Gamefly, have their own apps on Microsoft Network.
Right.
Xbox Live, and they would work it out through there where, instead of the rental being $1, now it's $1.50, and that 50 cents is going to Microsoft. A little
My
kickback or
God.
something like that.
My God.
Obviously those numbers are fabricated, but just to kind of give you an example.
That is a good. This is why they wanted a new Xbox anyway. Even though they're not upgrading like the overall power of it too much, it gives them a chance to rework all these nickel and dime techniques.
Yep.
And sneak them in under our nose. But I think.
No, one more. We got to talk about the internet. It's a real quick point.
Okay, all right. It's been announced that the Xbox One does not need a continuous internet connection. However, it does need to verify things via the internet once every 24 hours.
Which essentially means it has to be hooked up to the internet at all times.
Now, this is interesting because like the whole always on thing has been like kind of back and forth as far as whether people need it or want it. Yet, based on the stuff that I was seeing where the Xbox is hooked up to your entire entertainment center, it's controlling your TV and everything, it looks like this needs to maintain a certain level of always on. Whether I'm sure it's not sucking down your bandwidth constantly, but it's going to be listening to everything you say. It has to be, because if you say Xbox on, it needs to know to turn on. So obviously, if you have it plugged into your network, then it's going to maintain an internet connection. I imagine they're going to make it relatively difficult for you to keep the functionality of the voice-activated Kinect and everything always on, yet remove your persistent internet connection.
It's intriguing, to say the least. I really don't know what to say about it, because it's just, like you said earlier, they're just kind of like stepping around the issue while not. They're acknowledging it, but not directly acknowledging it. We're not going to know until the damn thing comes out. Is my best guess.
Well, that's like saying your cell phone doesn't always have to be connected to the network.
Right, that's true.
But why would you ever want to disconnect it?
Exactly.
Because it's an invasion of private. Well, I guess if your cell phone starts recording you when you're not, or like someone can tap into the microphone in your cell phone without your acknowledgement, then that could be a reason to not want it connected all the time. But I don't think Microsoft's going to do it, but they might. Who knows? All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this first condensed GameSpeak, and we're interested in all your thoughts on the different topics that we've covered, and we're always looking for new topics to cover in future episodes, so if you want to leave us a comment on any of that stuff down below, we would appreciate it. And Snoov, do you have anything else to say?
Nope, I'm just stoked that the GameSpeak is back, and as well as I'm sure a ton of you, because we've seen so many comments from you guys asking, when's GameSpeak coming back? So, granted, it's not the same format we had before. I think you guys will still be happy with what we're doing anyway.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next episode.